Every cell in the body needs oxygen to function and live. The human body can go days without water, weeks without food, but oxygen? Mere minutes without oxygen can be fatal. So how does oxygen get from the air to our individual cells? Through the respiratory system.
And it starts up at the nose and the mouth, and the nose is really just a big filter. It has hairs in it and all kinds of cells and antibodies, so to take out unwanted material from the oxygen and the air that's coming in. And the mouth is a bigger tube. It doesn't have as many defenses, but it has many, including the tonsils, which are lymph glands up in the mouth to deal with any bacteria or unwanted material that ends up coming in with the air. And that's why the tonsils get infected, because they're trying to overwhelm those bacteria that we're breathing in.
The nose and throat are joined at the bottom of the tongue, or the back of the mouth, in a tube called the trachea, or windpipe. The trachea travels down your throat and then divides into two passages called bronchi. One bronchus goes into the left lung, the other goes into the right lung. They branch off into more and more smaller and smaller canals called bronchioles. If you think of the lungs as an inverted tree, then the trachea is the trunk, and the bronchial tubes are the two largest branches, and the bronchioles are the twigs about the thickness of a hair on your head. At the end of these bronchial branches are 600 million tiny air sacs called alveoli.
They look like bunches of grapes, but they're at the level of the microscope. You couldn't see them. The lung, when you actually take it out, looks like a big sponge, and actually has those little holes in it, which are where those bunches of grapes kind of coalesce, come together. So the oxygen comes in, gets taken down to that level of the alveolus, which is the gas exchanger. Carbon dioxide is brought by the blood, oxygen is taken in, and the lung itself is this big sponge where this takes place, and the object of the rest of the parts of the lung are to bring that oxygen in and move that carbon dioxide out.
Once the oxygen has been exchanged into the bloodstream, the blood carries the oxygen into the heart via the pulmonary artery. The heart pumps out the oxygenated blood to all the cells in the body. When we inhale, our chests expand. When we exhale, our chests deflate. The lungs fill and empty, expand and deflate, thanks to the performance of the muscles sitting below it, the diaphragm.
Now, surrounding the lungs is the chest wall, and we have a thing called the diaphragm, which is the biggest muscle in the body, and that is really a pump. And what it does is it creates pressure, negative pressure, inside the chest so that the air comes in, and then it creates positive pressure and blows the air out. So negative pressure, and then it becomes more positive to blow the air out.
When we breathe out, this system happens in reverse. At the same time the oxygen was handed over to the blood exchanged carbon dioxide, or CO2. The CO2 travels backwards through the alveoli, the bronchioles, the bronchi, the trachea, the mouth or nose, and out into the world. This exhalation process can happen in super fast strong mode when something irritating or infectious enters our lungs. We call that a cough.
Along those pipes, there are a number of different cells that are there to, again, fight off any infection. And there are nerve endings, which are kind of protective. If we get something unwanted in there, we start coughing. Those nerve endings sense it, and they send a message to the brain that triggers a massive pumping out of air, at very high speeds, more than 400 miles an hour when you cough, and you blow anything that's unwanted out. And that's what a cough is, an attempt to blow out anything that shouldn't be down in your lungs.
The body does a lot to make sure the lungs are protected from invaders. The nose and mouth act as filters, the nerves detect irritants, and coughs blow out unwanted invaders. The body is doing its part. You should too. The best way to keep the lungs healthy is to not smoke. You can also strengthen your lungs with exercise. Exercise that works the lungs make them stronger and more efficient. So take a deep breath and start moving. I'm Dr. Mike Rosen, and you're watching the eHealth Network. Stay healthy.